It's just Bruce. He don't bite. Hello.
Hey folks, welcome to my shop. My name's Bruce. I'm here to show you how I restored this Snowspeeder from 1996 Power of the Force line. It belongs to a buddy of mine. He brought it over and wanted to know if I could restore it because he knows I do the vintage stuff. I don't normally restore Power of the Force things, but like I said, it's a buddy of mine. This is a little different video than I normally do, as when I did this, I had no voice. I was sick. I'm still not feeling too well. My voice still isn't back yet. I think if you watch the past few videos, you can see it was starting to fade. Well, I woke up the one day, I had nothing, which explains my very last video I just did. But anyway, what we're going to do is I'm splitting this into two parts. Tonight, we're going to tear this apart, and I'm going to show you how I tore it apart. It's already done. I'm going to show you how I tore it apart, remove the electronics, and clean the electronics, which was very important for this particular one. And then in part two, we're going to show you how to put it all back together, stickers, and we're going to compare it to the vintage one that I have in my own collection, because I think it's pretty neat. And, well, without further ado, let's get into how to tear this thing apart, huh? Okay, let's get started. As you can see, that's when I first got it. It doesn't look too bad. I dusted it off with a paintbrush. I like to use a little soft bristle brush to get the dust off of it. But you can see it's still kind of dirty. It's missing a few stickers, no big deal. The cockpit was working fine. There wasn't anything wrong with it. Inside the cockpit was a little bit dirty, and there was some crud in there that came apart, and I'll tell you how to clean that here in a bit. Like I said, excuse me, I'm still don't have my full voice back, and I'm doing this in one take. So now the gun, there's always been a problem with that gun, or the harpoon gun, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't like to stay up. Now, if you look, I think this is the part where it did. When you try it, there it's going right now. When you try to display it, it's just so heavy that it's eventually just dips, and it won't stay up. I'm going to show you how to fix that in part two. But I just want to show you that was one of the problems with it. Minor problem, easy fix. Excuse me, easy fix. And now I'm taking the battery compartment off. Look at those batteries. Those batteries are horrible. And this is what happens when you leave it sit with the batteries in for a long time. So if you're going to leave your toys sit around, take the batteries out if you think of it. Otherwise, this is going to happen. Now, there's electronics. Nothing was working on this because of this problem right here. That was the major problem. Always use the gloves. That stuff that I'm touching right now will burn your skin. I got a chemical burn on my little index finger here from not using gloves. I got a bad habit of doing that by myself. A quick job. Well, put your gloves on. It's worth it. I also have a mask on. Just a regular mask like we're using for COVID, a regular paper medical mask, just because if you breathe that in, it'll cause you all kind of grief. You also want to have ventilation. I got the ventilation going. You can see I'm trying to get these batteries out. They're really stuck in there. And I'm using a tongue depressor or a giant popsicle stick. You can use whatever you want to. I tried the pliers first. It didn't work. But look at the corrosion on that. I mean, that's just disgusting. And that, honestly, I can't stress enough. Do not touch it. Actually, what I should have done is put that right in a paper towel and threw it in the garbage immediately instead of leaving it sit there. And you see I'm having the second one was worse than the first one. So you can see I'm digging at it, trying to get it out. And if you look where my thumb is, that is really swollen up there. Now, I've heard batteries can explode. I've never seen it happen. You see all that corrosion on there. That's just bad. I've heard batteries can explode. I've never seen it happen, but they say it can. It doesn't surprise me. But those batteries just were in there for years, I'm thinking. And look at all the residue it left inside there. And that's all corrosive. I can't stress enough. Don't breathe in. Watch when you're doing what I'm doing there, because you can flick it on your skin somewhere else, on your forearms or whatever. You don't want to do that. So there's the batteries taken out, and just showing you again how corroded they are. Throw them in the garbage, get rid of them. Don't bother touching them at all. So as you can see, the rest of it isn't too bad. The worst of it's going to be, I'm pointing out the terminals now, how bad the terminals are. The two you're looking at there aren't as bad as the ones in the front. And I don't remember if I turned it around for the camera or not, but they're still bad. They're just caked with that residue of chemicals that come out of the battery. And it's all from leaving it sit around. So believe me, take your batteries out. That's the battery cover. You can see the crud on the inside. That's all corrosive. It's all bad. What I'm going to do, I don't remember if I videotaped it or not. When I do get this apart, I'm taking all the pieces and I'm washing them in Dawn dish soap and warm water. But that's coming up later. Now we're going to tear it. I'm going to show you how to tear it apart. It comes apart rather easy, a little easier than I thought it would. Cockpit glass. It just clicks right back in there whenever you go to put it back together. That's what I'm showing you there. I wonder whoever named it a cockpit, though. I mean, think about it. Of all things, you could call it, I don't know, pilot hole. I don't know. Okay, you got the laser cannons. They pop right out, like I'm showing you there. Those were actually in good shape. They come out a little different than the vintage ones. They pop right out. The vintage ones, you got to turn a quarter turn. That's what I was trying to do. But as you can see, that's actually in good shape. It just needs cleaned up. And same with the second one. I'm taking the second one out now. It's all decent shape. They are different than the original vintage ones, and I'll show you that in part 3 whenever I do the comparison video. I left those engines in there. I didn't need to pop them out, but they do pop out if you really want to take them out. Those the back for what you want to call them, but those we'll call them thingamabobs. How about that? All right, the thingamabobs. They just one quarter turn, they pop right out. They were dirty, but they were in good shape. And that's the easy stuff. You see that I got that's the harpoon and the little thing that holds the harpoon on. It pops right out, no big deal. They were in good shape too, so I didn't really have to worry about that. Just a light cleaning on it. So I got lucky on that. No major repairs yet. And I'm going to show you the major repair. Now the stickers, you can see some of the stickers look good. Some of them aren't on right. This is the point where I decide, am I going to take these stickers off? There's one there on the cockpit that's starting to curl up. I didn't want to use repress stickers if I didn't have to, even though it's missing a few stickers. The owner of this toy, he said it was okay if I used the repress stickers, but I'm going to show you how to take the stickers off. That gun, leave it on until we get the unit apart. It comes out from the inside, the easiest way to do it. And you see the bottom, the stickers are still in good shape on the bottom. I was trying to save those. And some of them were like kind of peeling off. There's 6 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6 is up there. Those 6 screws come out with a Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to take those out now. And those 2 right there that I'm pointing to, one on each side of the cockpit, those are the last 2 you're going to want to take out. And they're very important because if you don't take them out, you'll break the thing trying to separate it. There goes my voice again. Hey guys, I'm doing the best I can here. So you see, I'm just taking the screws out, and I don't know if I cut this part or not. I think there's one. It's just come out, and they're the little short screws. Sometimes those screws, like in the vintage ones, they use the silver screws, the silver Kenner screws we call them. They come out and they're all rusty. These actually are coated with some kind of black substance, and they weren't rusty at all. But if your screws are rusty, what you can do is put them in a little cup and pour some white vinegar on it, and leave it sit for about an hour, and you'll see that white vinegar tears that rust right off. And a little rubbing with a rag, or you could even use light sandpaper to finish cleaning them if you want to go that far. And you can see now all those screws are identical, and there's 6 of them, so I didn't have to separate them. A lot of times Kenner will use different size screws for different holes, and you have to make sure each screw goes in the hole that it belongs. But in this case, we're good. They're all the same. So you can see I just made a little pile over there. And was that number 6? Yeah, because I'm running out of stuff to say. But yeah, the screws are all the same, so I didn't have a problem keeping them. Now I'm going to take out those 2 screws I told you about here. I'm using a magnetic Phillips head screwdriver. It's not so bad when you're taking them out, but when you're putting them back in, you want to make sure you have a magnetic screwdriver so you don't drop the screw into the unit. If I drop the screw into the unit right now, it doesn't matter. I'm going to take the whole thing apart anyway. But I did a vintage one where I did drop the screw in there, and I had one heck of a time getting that out of there. So just something to keep in mind, try and use a magnetic screwdriver. That's my favorite screwdriver right there. Actually, I think the dog got a hold of it and the handle's a little chewed up, but I still use it. And as you can see now, I got the screws out. We can pop it. It pops, separates just like that. Now, I don't know if I show you, but you got to hold that cockpit. Yeah, they got to hold that chair, the pilot's chair in there when you're pulling it apart. That way you won't lose that little spring there, because the cockpit chair is what's holding the front landing gear down. If it pops up, you have a chance to lose that little spring. If you can see, it's right there in about the center of the screen. And then you take your landing gear out. You see, it's just laying in there. It's not clicking into anything. It lays right in that little groove. And we're just going to feed it up to the top like that. And make a note of which direction your spring is going. You can use mine for reference. As you see, it goes like swoops to the right and goes under, because that's what's going to lift that thing back up whenever we're using it. And there's one piece I think it's coming up here, that actually fell out. Okay, I'm pointing out how bad the corrosive material is all over. It's all through it. All those little spots are all from the batteries. Now that can get on anything. It'd mess up your plastic. It can mess up your wiring, mess up your electronics. So that's what we're going to get around to cleaning here in a little bit. And there's a top part. And yeah, there's the piece I was telling you about that fell through. No big deal if it falls through like that. It holds up your landing gear, and it goes in a slot that I'm going to show you, even though it's not on the camera there. You can kind of see there's a little hole that just pops right in there. I'm going to show you all this when I put it back together. But that's the thing that goes back and forth to hold your landing gear in place whenever it goes up. So that's easy to lose. I just wanted to make a note of that because I've dropped those on the floor before. So, and then we're just giving an overlook on the top half. As you can see, it's got some corrosive powder all where the battery compartment is. Even on the other side, it traveled across the unit over there where I'm pointing now, all in through the ship. You got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of that. It's going to cause grief down the road. And now I'm going to show you how to take the gun out. You're going to flip it over, and there's the clip. It's very easy. You just pinch those two things together, and it'll pop right out. And there's your gun. We're going to set that aside. Like I said, I'm going to teach you how to fix that hinge in part 2. Trying to explain it right there. You see it just clicks in there, and after time it just gets loose and it won't hold it up. I'm sure in the newer days it held it up no problem. So right now I'm evaluating the stickers. Excuse me, I had to have some of my iced tea. So I'm taking a paintbrush and I'm brushing all the powder off onto my mat. Looking back, I wish I would have put a piece of paper underneath it, but it worked out. Like I said, I can't stress enough, that stuff's corrosive. I should have gloves on at this time, but I'm so bad at that. I'm sure everybody else is too, and maybe not everybody, but a lot of people are. And I'm just, all has to come out. And I decided at this point, when I realized it wasn't coming off that big chunk on the bottom, let's see if we get it flipped over. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I decided I was going to give her a bath. I decided I was going to, it's going to have the hot water and Dawn dishwashing detergent to clean it thoroughly. I wanted it cleaned thoroughly. He wanted it to look like it just came out of the box, so I did the best I could on that. But look at all that crap all there. I cleaned it. Now we're going to take the stickers off. But it's important to clean up that battery acid stuff. I cannot stress that enough. And don't get it on your skin, and just, have your ventilation. Don't breathe it in. So, okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to take off these stickers that are offending me, that they weren't put on right in the first place, and you can see they're curling up. This is quite common. What we're going to use is lighter fluid. Now, this is a generic lighter fluid, and most people use Zippo lighter fluid. This is what I had laying around. It works just fine. A lot of people have tried this, and they've ended up tearing the stickers. Now, what I have to say about it is you have to be patient, and don't be afraid to saturate that sticker with lighter fluid. The lighter fluid is not going to ruin your sticker. So you see I poured lighter fluid into the crease, not the crease, but where it's slipping up. I soaked it down in there, and I actually made an excess down there. So when I'm pulling, that excess is falling a little bit further behind the sticker and dissolving that glue. Of course, somebody's texting me. If you see it's getting dry, take your time. You have to be slow and patient. If you just go and peel it off like you think you're peeling a Band-Aid off, it's going to rip every time. And I'm using tweezers. You can use your fingers if you want. Don't be smoking a cigarette when you're doing this, because it's lighter fluid. It'll catch on fire. But ever so slowly I'm going, and you'll see my lighter fluid will start drying up, and I'll see dry paper. I'm going to hit it with some more lighter fluid. And I promise you, these stickers will not get damaged by the lighter fluid. The only way you're going to damage them is if you rip one by being too fast. And some of these just flat out won't be able to be saved. I mean, it's just a fact of life. But I tried as hard as I could to save as many stickers as I could. And I think I did a pretty good job on it. I'm only going to do this one here on camera, because this literally took me over an hour to get all the stickers off. So this, like I said, I just put the one on here to show you. You see I'm still going slow all this time talking. It's only one sticker. Almost to the end. Don't get excited when you get to the end. You might have to hit it again with lighter fluid, which I am. As you see, I just had a little teeny tiny bit to go, but I still wanted to get it off right. And there we go. That's one. So that came off nice. Set there, the lighter fluid will just evaporate. It'll just dry. Okay, now we're going to do the wires and the lights. I'd taken all the stickers off, and I actually washed the other piece already in Dawn dishwashing detergent. It's drying on a side table. These terminals, they were really bad. Look how, and you see I just pried them off gently with a flathead screwdriver. As you can see, all that crud is still on there, all that corrosion. That should be all gold, because I believe I think they're copper connections. They should be all copper color, shiny gold. And as you can see, they're not. They actually turn blue in some parts, which is not what you want. They got to be gold. You got to get all that corrosion off there. The second one, as you can see, I'm just going right next to the pin. It just pops right up. Just very gently. Wiggle it back and forth if you have to. I did have to mess with this one a little bit, but like I said, it did come off. And it's about ready to pop. Also, while doing it, make sure you don't, you want to check your wire connections. Sometimes you'll find a wire disconnected, then you have to solder it, and which is not hard to do. I did not have to do it on this one. Someday I'll show you how to solder, but there's other YouTubers that can show you how to solder. I don't really have to do it very much. You see, I got a hold of it, and so now I'm going to gently rock it back and forth to just pull it straight up, because I don't want to break that brittle plastic. And there it goes. Comes right off. And you can see that is horribly, well, that piece actually was the best of all of them. It wasn't bad, but it still needed cleaned. And, you can see where they both go. Remember where they both went. If you have to take a picture of it, that's a good idea too. When you get it all torn apart, and if you're going to take your wires out, take a picture of the wiring before you touch it. That way, when you go to put it back, you can refer to your wires on your picture, and if you get mixed up. This really wasn't hard to get mixed up, though. The wires all had the bends where they go across and everything. So it really wasn't that hard to figure out. I'm removing a light bulb right now from one of the laser cannons. It's just sitting in there. You can see the wire goes around a little pathway, so to speak, and it just sits in there. So that was easy. And I'm going to go the whole way around, taking gentle care of my wires. Now, right there, you can see they're tucked behind that screw hole. Don't want to put them over the screw hole when you put them back in. I will show you how to put them back in. And same thing. That's just in a groove. We're going to gently pick it up. It goes around there, and then we go to the motor. Got another light there. Same thing. It goes through a little pathway. Sometimes you got to get in there and pry it up. I try to use wooden skewers to do that instead of screwdrivers. It puts less pressure on it, and it have a tendency to be a little gentler. That way, if your wooden skewer breaks, you're putting too much pressure on it. Checking the light bulb, checking the connection. Those all actually look good. They weren't corroded or anything. But that is the sound. That's where your sound comes from. And that's the main difference in this unit compared to the vintage Snowspeeder. And you see I'm removing the soundboard. There's 2 screws. They're the same identical as the other one, so I put them all together. And the second screw I took out, I skipped over that a little bit. There's 2 screws holding the speaker in. Those are the only 2 screws that are different in this whole thing. So what I did is I didn't actually take the screws the whole way out. I loosened them until I could get that speaker out, and it popped right out. Yeah, as you can see, it lifted right out, and that all looks good. Nothing got corroded. All my wires seem to be attached. So at this point, I'm still hoping it just works with a good cleaning of the terminals that I'm going to show you here next. And set that aside. And what am I doing next? I forget. I'm just making sure that I'm trying to point out those screws are different, which I've already said, but you can see those have a big head on them. That's to hold that speaker in there. So you don't want to get those 2 screws mixed up with the other ones. So what I chose to do is I just put them right back in a hole and left them there. And now look how dirty that is on the inside. And once again, I'm checking stickers. I did have to remove those stickers. Same way I showed you. It took a lot of patience, but I did end up removing them. A couple of them I couldn't use again. Then I noticed there was a couple missing. So, and what am I talking about now? I know I paused here for a reason. I just can't remember what the reason. Oh, maybe I could take a drink of my iced tea. Oh, more stickers. But this is a bigger sticker, and or a different sticker. I guess I decided to do these 2. As you can see, I soaked the heck out of them with lighter fluid. Same principle. We're just going to get under there. And I believe, you know what? I actually think I ruined this sticker. Yeah, I did. I ruined that sticker. That's why I stopped. I was hoping it would magically heal itself, but it didn't. So, see, even the best of us make mistakes. If you make a mistake, well, it is what it is. But this is the only technique I know that works, and it's not foolproof. So, back to the battery terminals. These were a mess. That is the one plate we took out. You see all that blue crap on there? I don't know if I can say crap on YouTube or not, but, well, I just did. Get over it. That's an emery board. And what I usually start with is just gently to see how bad it is. I try to use an emery board to scrape off the pieces. This particular one was so bad, you'll see what I did here in a minute. A lot of people are going to cringe, like, oh, you should soak it overnight in vinegar. You can do that too, but in this case, they were so bad that I, excuse me, I just decided There I am trying to scrape it off with the emery board. Normally that would work. If it's not too bad, that would work. And I'm just trying to do the best I can with that emery board. And I think at one point here I said, yeah, I said to hell with it. Oh, I even flipped it off. So I must have been upset. Well, I know I was upset because it's frustrating. So I decided that I was going to pull out my Dremel tool. I think. I don't know if I tried the other technique or not. I know I didn't want to soak it in vinegar. It just wasn't going to work. Yeah, there's a Dremel tool, and that's just a light sandpaper end on it. You can use, that's my preferred thing. It doesn't do any damage to the gold part. And I got that on a medium speed and just going over it lightly, as you can see, and you can see it's taking that corrosion right off. Remember earlier I said to put a mask on? This is why. This was horrible. When I did this, it was flying all over my face and everything, and I didn't realize it, and I did not have my mask on. I spent the rest of the night like sneezing and blowing my nose, and it just burned and finally went away. And it was so wear a mask when you do this, and have a fan going on, some kind of ventilation. I have an exhaust fan when I'm doing this kind of work. I open this door behind me that leads into a coal cellar, and that's my paint room. I have a giant fan blowing out the coal chute, so I have a really good setup down here to get rid of fumes and odors and resin dust whenever I'm working with resin. So yeah, make sure you have your ventilation, your mask, and definitely your gloves. I cannot stress that enough. I'm probably going to say it another dozen times in these videos. But as you can see, that took all the crap off, and it's nice and shiny where I've worked on it so far as compared to what it looked like before. And that's what you want to do. You want to get all that off so your batteries make contact, your connections make contact, and also corrosion. If you don't get it all off, it'll just keep corroding, just like rust on a car. You know, it's like a cancer. It'll just keep going and going and going if you don't get it all. So I'm doing that little piece there, same thing. And you can see the gold coming out. It's actually kind of a relaxing feeling when you're cleaning it and it's coming out so nice. Because when I was done with that, it just looked really nice, brand new. It's going to make good contact. There's a bump right there I thought was actually part of the metal. It wasn't part of the metal. It was actually corrosion that had built up. So I ended up taking that all off. And can't fast forward this, can I? Because I ran out of things to say again. But now this is good for like even the vintage ones, though. I mean, the people that have the vintage ones, they really don't want to scrape up anything or scratch anything. This does scratch it a little bit, but I'm telling you, it works. You know, if it wasn't so bad, I would have soaked it overnight in some white vinegar, and then I would have been able to clean it easier. But it wouldn't have taken all that off. That was just a ridiculous amount. And it would eventually ruin the toy again. You'd be doing it in a little while and ruin your batteries. So, yeah, I'm still grinding away, aren't I? I've still got other pieces to go, but there's a different technique I used on the other ones. Yeah, it didn't seem so long when I was doing it, but now I sit here and watch it, it's taking forever. Okay, it looks like I'm done with that piece. See how nice and gold it come out? It takes a little bit of time, but you know, it's worth it whenever your toy fires up for the first time in years. You know, especially if you're a collector and, you know. But like I said, keep your batteries out of your toys if they're just going to sit. Because this is what happens. All this could have been avoided. So now what I'm doing there is I'm bending those out a little bit, so when I put them back in, I'll get a little more tension. And I'm getting inside there with my emery board to clean behind it, because there's still stuff behind. Of course, the Dremel tool won't fit behind there. That's very important. Just like I said, look at it, get all the corrosion off of it, whatever way you can think to do. If you have a better way, hey, if you have a better way to do it, please leave it in the comments, because I don't like scratching things up like that. But sometimes you have to, just to get the functionality back. All right, I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead, which I wasn't going to, but I realized this is taking too long. So I'm going to skip ahead to the next part. All right, like I said, always safety first. You know, this is where I said in the video to use your gloves and your mask, because that's the point I realized I didn't have my mask on. It was screwing me up. Now we're going to go on to the other terminals, and I did both of these in this video, but I'm actually going to just do one for this video, and then I'm going to skip ahead. So you see now they're shaped a little bit differently, and those actually are single clips on the back, which those are tension clips. You can see I'm getting my emery board. I'm getting the inside there just like I did on the last one. I want to get all that corrosion out of there. And you know, this time I started underneath. And I got my mask on this time, but you know, it's too little too late, because at this point my nose started burning. Did I mention to wear a mask? I did. I can't remember if I told you guys that or not. But Yeah, you want to wear a mask. You guys gonna get sick. I'm still mad at myself for doing that. That's why. I just hitting it with the memory board. You know, it takes time, guys. It's not going to be a 2-second fix. And I spent probably about a half an hour cleaning these terminals, because even after I did this video, I cleaned them again before I put them back in. And I'm also making sure I don't break them. I'm hitting it with the Dremel tool, of course. And I'm pretty sure you get the idea of this. So you see, I'm just hitting it Dremel tool, getting all the stuff out, making it gold. Now can you see the dust flying? That's what I'm talking about. I see you can see it good in this video. But yeah, that's the stuff that I was inhaling. And no, not good. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and skip ahead because I'm doing the other clip after this. I'm going to go ahead and skip past that too. So that was part one of how to tear this baby apart and clean the electronics out. I'm going to get part 2 up as soon as I can. And in part 3, we're going to compare the two. I decided to make it in 3 parts instead of 2 just now because they're kind of lengthy and I figure shorter video is better. So check it out whenever you can, part 1, part 2, and part 3. And I hope to see you real soon. I have a new video that I'm going to be working on for all you resin workers out there. My dog decided to get a hold of my denture plate. And it's no surprise that I have dentures. I have done videos without them in. I don't care. It is what it is. But anyway, my dog got a hold of it and took a big chunk and ruined them. And they're like, I paid like $5 grand for those things. And so I went to the dentist and they were going to charge me an arm and a leg just to repair a little chunk that was taken out. Well, I work with resin every day, and I'm like, there's got to be a way I can fix this myself. Sure enough, I looked up on the internet at a dental school site and saw the method they use, and I'm like, I have everything like that in my house, in my shop. So I had to order the right resin because it's a different type of resin, but it works the same as my stuff does. So anyway, my next video, I'm going to show you how I fix mine. I'm not even going to recommend that you do it yourself, but I just thought it was really neat. It was a challenge for me. And now I also have a mold that I can make dentures for like Halloween and screwing around and stuff. So they got that to look forward to. Anyway, check out part 2. It's coming up real soon, and I will see you later.
It's just Bruce. He don't bite. Hello.